Sunshine will introduce our today's speaker.
Thank you, Gloria. Good afternoon, everyone. Research areas within the department, including setting strategic direction for various data products, surveys, and other regional and local analysis.
Things to talk about today, and then went to lunch with a few people and realized that everything I prepared was the wrong thing. So, let me just please... This makes me feel like I'm about to start a rock concert. This is good, I can hold it, yeah. It's not a problem. I might start singing mine. But of course, although I'm happy to answer questions, any views or certainly the election is something that often weighs on people, and now we have this coronavirus. I think talking about the election now as a source of, so it's 12 reserve bank presidents. We have 12 reserve banks, and all 12 presidents are on the FOMC. And then it should be 7 members of the Board of Governors this year. Again, without the effects, most of the national economy that I'm going to be talking about right now was without whatever effects that we see in the coronavirus. And of 2019, we added on average 176,000 jobs. Participation if you want to. We can talk about the JOLTS report, we can talk about all of the measures of unemployment. Well, for one thing, it is March 1st, and what we still get is the data that also we don't necessarily have in the numbers, right? So one thing is that a lot of the data is lagged. We don't have, the most recent news has come out, but you know, towards 2019 and then started to jump up again. I'm having a really hard time with worse or stay the same across a number of measures. Employment, shipments, sales, revenue. In our measure, we had some of the most persistently high numbers in that manufacturing index that we have ever seen. And it's however long ago 1993 was about tariffs. So and last year, commercial real estate, it continues to be strong in most markets. Residential real estate, the recession, we were generally growing faster than down. Again, you know, this doesn't really change what we look at with respect to trend, but we did add fewer jobs as a country last year than we had originally thought. So that'll kind of non-farm, and it's civilian. Important in Virginia, right? Civilian non-farm. So 17.9% publications, and that is declining across the U.S. and Virginia and all of our states. But this professional business services is big. So after this recession, like we did in the early 90s and early 2000s, that growth rate was about half. So this sector never pulled us out of this recession. This poor woman has no idea, but I don't even know her name, so I guess it's okay. She has no idea. I use her as an example. But I did employment in Virginia, and we saw that 0.6% decline. That is not in all cross, right? So we did lose 300 jobs in wholesale, but that was like not necessarily live in Virginia, but work in Virginia. Yeah. But they really hate this chart. So it's now, of course, they're all different, right? So mining and logging, well, that went back above, that sort of varies. In North Carolina, most of that growth has been in the service sector, and a lot of it has been in professional business services by metro area. So again, actually sustained that growth. To the extent they're in a top right area, they have growth over the last 10 years. The bubble size, yeah. So, but this one by employer, I don't think that we can.
Just to piggyback on that, this is employment numbers. This has nothing to do with wage.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to. Because that becomes
kind of correlated to see which areas, you know, where the people actually be.
Okay, so this is the unemployment rate. I mentioned that for the U.S. we're at the lowest unemployment rate. Watching CNBC like everybody else, watching that money market dip below 1. Anyway, so down is 1 by industry or 2 by geography. Wrong here. I'm assuming 1 is that you're on the water, and so it's seasonal, right? In the summer and in the fall you have higher employment, lower unemployment. It's the number of people who are not working and have looked for work in the last 4 weeks, divided by those people plus the employed. Or 16 to 54, and this is something that we were doing because a lot of the more rural areas skew, but that we also are moving towards bigger metro areas. So we've known that. One of the things we started to try to understand, rural, and we did 1 and 2 urban. What does this mean? Because obviously, how many people know what 2 is in the USDA code? I'm just kidding. But in this case, rural includes town. So we were trying to understand why that is. So that's true for job growth too, right? So this is year-over-year percent change in job with maximum sustainable economic growth. Well, how do you figure out what that is without understanding the labor 64? So it includes 54 to 64, 54 to 64, but not older than that. So that is market in an upturn, right? And so never waste a tight labor market, right? Like right now we are seeing wages go up more for entry-level workers than for CRA modernization. As of demographics throughout the Fifth Federal Reserve District. So that sending different people out to engage with different care then, yes.
Isn't that a little bit of a chicken and the egg type of thing?
Have some sort of degree, right? Absolutely. Absolutely, and to go and get a bachelor's degree, right? So this is the median earnings over your lifetime by degree. Sadly, no. I mean, technology that these firms have now, and the firm's like, well, they're working on 2-year-old technology. And I was like, yeah, you're in college. My grandmother, alone. This alone is an entire literature in economics. But again, in the interest of time, right? So, okay, you can have all that.